Hey, I'm Mac. Welcome back to my channel. So, with all the coverage that I've been devoting to Monet, I thought we would switch it up a little bit. Plus, it's very exciting what's going on with the. I don't know if you've seen my community posts, but the news anchor that picked up the story that I detailed in my last video contacted me, and he says that that's going to be like a few weeks as they're further investigating it because they think that this story could potentially get really big if they can uncover more of the team members that are involved. So that's very exciting. But today we're going to talk about It Works. Yeah. All right. Here we go. I feel like there was a time where it seemed like Have You Tried That Crazy Rap thing was everywhere. Maybe 10, 15 years ago. It was a more innocent time back then, and I didn't know what the fuck it was. And more importantly, as a 20-year-old young gay man who had just moved to Los Angeles from Ohio to attend the University of Southern California, I had more important things to see and more important people to do. So it seems like now would be a good time to find out what exactly that crazy rap thing was that I'm told was changing so many lives back then. The company responsible for that crazy rap thing is MLM company and current dumbest name holder, It Works. And yes, there is an exclamation point that is really part of the name, which in my opinion is absolutely unforgivable. The only time I want exclamation points is in a song title, and only if the song runs at 160 beats per minute or higher and is outrageously catchy. If it's not catchy, I'm going to be very upset because you know you are setting the bar high with the exclamation point. The only time the bar is higher is the catchiness required for song titles that have redoubled words, like Dance Dance or Moni Moni or Sugar Sugar or Jumpin' Jumpin' or Bang Bang. Okay, you better have been bringing the noise or I am so done with your ass. Yeah. Sorry for that sidebar, but It Works was founded in 2001 by Mark Pentecost and his wife in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which, as an Ohioan, sounds about right. I love the way they tell the story in their official version of it. Are you ready? Long before the founding of It Works Global, Mark was a high school teacher and basketball coach in the small town of Allegan, Michigan. Which, can I just digress here for a second? I want to tell you a little bit about Allegan. Allegan was named in a neologism by Michigan historian Henry Rowe Schoolcraft in 1837 to sound like a Native American word. So, I mean, like, that's Michigan for you. Like, that's really all I can say. It just is. Cindy was a stay-at-home mom with their 3 children, a job of the utmost importance that the family took great pride in her doing. They were rich in love and filled with dreams, but struggling to make ends meet financially. So Mark and Cindy devised a plan, an extra $500 a month to be earned through a home-based business opportunity in the telecommunications industry. After months of evening hours dedicated to their new side business, the Pentecost's earnings grew far beyond the goal they had originally set. After a few years, Mark became a top 10 earner in the company, bought the family's freedom, really, and began to dream of the next big challenge, helping other families do the same. They weren't sure how they would do it yet, but the seed had been planted for It Works Global. Wow, you guys, like what a fucking giver. So upon reading that paragraph, I just had to know what this home-based business opportunity they were in before they found out It Works was. It must be extremely normal and respectable with, I'm sure, no shadiness, and I'm sure that is why they were incredibly vague about what it was. Well, I found it. It was Excel Communications, an MLM that was founded in 1989 and resold long distance phone service. And I now realize that I'm getting old because obviously for some of you damn kids out there, I need to explain what a long distance call was. Yeah, so back in the day when we only had landlines, if you were making a call to a number that wasn't in the same area code as you, unless your area had two overlapping area codes, it cost extra. It also costs even more to make a call outside of your state because it would be like, it was like super long distance or whatever. I forget what they called it. So you'd have your local phone service, and then you could also have a long distance service plan where you'd pay a given amount a month to get a certain number of minutes, or you'd pay per minute and you'd also have like a monthly fee to get like a lower per minute rate. Or you'd use a phone card, which gave you a toll-free number to call, and then it had like its own rate set up that you would do, and then that would connect the call. Yeah, it was fucking stupid, okay? So Excel Communications resold long distance service plans through other companies at a marked up rate. I know, a multi-level marketing company that sells a product that is the same as or inferior to a cheaper product you could buy elsewhere without having to go through an unnecessary middleman representative. Shocking. Shocking. Let's take a look at Excel so that we can see what types of reproachlessly ethical, faultlessly morally upstanding practices, and I'm sure unequivocally peerless business acumen our boy Mark was incubated in. So to become an Excel Communications representative, it cost $50 in 1989, which is $110 today, to become a representative, but get no materials, training, or products, which sounds frustratingly similar to the lowest tiers MLMs offer today. So clearly nothing has changed in 31 years. Or you could pay $195, which today would be $427, to join and get the training and marketing materials, which seems, you know, reasonable. You know, having to pay for training. Heaven forbid you get a 9 to 5. I mean, sure, it's illegal to charge for training at a 9 to 5, but like it gets us time freedom, okay? Let's go. Or you could pay $395 in 1989, which today would be $865, in something that I don't think I've ever seen before. It would get you the training and marketing materials as well as the title of area coordinator, which allowed you to earn a $40 commission on that $195 fee your downline pays for the training and marketing materials. But most representatives would earn a $5 commission on each new representative they brought into the company, which is $11 today, and a 0.5% commission on the long distance charges accrued by the subscribers that they brought in, but only if they brought in at least 20 new subscribers. And I think you can start to see where the problem is with that. I wonder if that's why only a jaw-dropping 15% of their representatives earned any commissions at all. And of that 15%, 95% of them received less than $1,000, which means that 99.25% of all representatives received less than $1,000, and 2/3 of that 15%, which is 95% of everybody, received less than $100. Why, yes, those of you keeping score at home, that is $95 less than the price to join with the training and marketing materials. Incredible. Incredible. So with such a lucrative, generously compensated opportunity, it is just shocking that 86% of their representatives lasted less than 1 year. Obviously, that 86% was just not doing the work and didn't have the grit, you know, to make it in the opportunity, right? There's just sour grapes. Unlike their top earners, who were so satisfied with the company that in 1996, they sued the company, alleging that Excel Communications itself was unfairly competing with their representatives for the sales of the training and marketing materials and subscriber commissions. The damages that they sought, $400 million. Yeah, that didn't fly. But they did get a settlement of 1.7 million, which, makes it seem like it wasn't nothing. Like they really were competing with their own representatives. Yeah. Now, we all know that one of the best aspects of multi-level marketing is that it really ensures compliance with the law by its independent consultants. For example, the way that Young Living representatives fastidiously and honorably abstain from making any statements of any kind that could be considered to be medical misinformation, or how not a single income claim has ever come from the lips of a Monat representative. Not once. Not once. Just full compliance. Excel Communications shares in that culture of virtue and honor, which is why they were fined $80,000 in 1996 by the FCC in response to the slamming or illegally switching people's long distance services without their knowledge or consent that was rampant among Excel's independent consultants. But Excel's commitment to improvement and growth, as well as the remarkable effectiveness of the new training they implemented after this punitive action, was truly well demonstrated when in 2000, the FCC fined them $400,000 for slamming that was ongoing by Excel's independent consultants. Well, they never die. So the company continued operating, driven by the tireless efforts and true tenacity of its ever-loyal consultants until 2004, when, beleaguered by outstanding debts and falling revenues, Excel repaid that loyalty by filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection and seeking release from its contracts with all its distributors, explaining that they would be better able to pay their creditors if they could continue receiving revenue from their large base of subscribers without having to pay commissions to those pesky distributors who built that base. Incredible. And then Excel continued operating as a private, non-multi-level marketing company, emerging from bankruptcy in 2006 until being bought out by another telecommunications company in 2010. And now they're probably owned by like Nestle or something. I don't know. So that's the dumpster that incubated ItWorks founder Mark Pentecost and started him on the path to igniting the dumpster fire that is ItWorks. So we're going to talk about their 4 top seller products, okay? You ready? So let's start off with number 1, the Crazy Wrap, aka the Skinny Wrap. All their products are called Skinny. I don't like it. I had previously assumed that this wrap was like some kind of shapewear, like a Spanx or whatever. Well, it's not. For one, it's got a pre-applied lotion, which is weird, and the wrap is single use only. However, my doubts were certainly immediately dispelled when I learned that it contains seaweed, which we all know is
50% sea, 50% weed.
Maybe that's actually California. Green tea and guarana. I mean, what more do you fucking need to know? Seaweed, according to the only mildly reputable sources I could find, could potentially have an effect on increasing skin cell turnover due to its high iodine content, but this has not been demonstrated in any type of clinical trial. According to another source, it prevents premature moisture loss, which is another way of saying that when seaweed extract is in a lotion, ointment, or cream, the effects of lotion, ointments, or creams happen. Literally every lotion, cream, or ointment prevents premature moisture loss. That's how they work. Green tea and guarana are just sources of caffeine, which is responsible for any effect that they may have. So there's some evidence that topically applied caffeine can reduce inflammation or puffiness due to the vasoconstricting, meaning it constricts blood vessels in the area that it's applied to. However, this is just a temporary effect on the area, and as the caffeine wears off, the vasoconstriction is going to go away and it's going to be puffy again. The other ingredient in this lotion for this wrap that is of note to me is retinol palmitate, which is a form of vitamin A. Retinol palmitate and vitamin A really should only be present in facial or lip products, and even then only in limited quantities, because it can increase risk of some cancers. Intake of vitamin A or related compounds in excess of 5,000 international units or 1.5 milligrams per day is contraindicated during pregnancy or breastfeeding, as it can cause birth defects like all vitamin A derivatives can. For example, Accutane is a vitamin A derivative. It's a much more extreme and harmful one, but it illustrates the point. With a topical product containing vitamin A, there's really no way to know how much of it you could be absorbing, which could potentially put you way over that 5,000 international unit line. And ItWorks does say that it shouldn't be used in pregnancy or breastfeeding, but it's kind of buried. It's not featured. I would like to see that more prominently featured, because while people are usually very cautious about medications that they're taking as like a pill during pregnancy, I think people often overlook topical products that could be potentially harmful. Ideally, I'd prefer they stop including a vitamin A derivative in a topical product altogether, but failing that, I'd like to see a little bit more of a visible warning about pregnancy and breastfeeding. So the way that you use it, I guess, is you apply the wrap, and it's got like a pre-applied lotion. You apply it for 45 minutes, and they recommend that you use it every 72 hours, meaning that at the loyal customer or distributor price of $49 for a 3-pack, being skinny sure seems like it's gonna be expensive at $163 a month or $273 a month if you paid full retail price. So you better find that distributor, huh? Jesus. So let's look at this next thing. They're skinny gummies. The big ticket ingredient they are showing in these gummies, which they claim will guard against unwanted love handles, presumably sparing the wanted love handles, and expanded waistlines, and help you start losing stubborn, pinchable fat on your stomach and hips, is Morasil Blood Orange Extract. I don't really even need to go into the evidence and sourcing for these claims, because it is impossible to target weight loss. It is not possible to selectively lose fat from a given area of the body, whether that is by exercise, diet, or supplementation. Sidebar. This is why crunches or other ab workouts will not ever cause you to get visible abs, ever. Although core strength is important, so. But the only way to have visible abs is to have a body fat percentage of about like 13% or less, or ideally less than 10% though. That's 20 to 25% for women. It is very difficult to maintain visible abs, and visible veins is about 15% or below for men, by the way. Sorry, but it's just something that's always annoys me. It's not a function of ab strength. It's a function of body fat percentage, whether they're defined or not. But anyway, nonetheless, I will say about the Morasil evidence that while they do have a clinical study showing a slight reduction in weight and body measurements, it does not seem like they controlled for the dietary habits or lifestyle habits of the participants. The base dose ItWorks recommends is 200 milligrams of the extract, which is 2 gummies once daily. But the clinical study participants used 400 milligrams for 90 days. So you would need to do a higher dose than ItWorks suggests, which is 2 gummies twice daily to get the full 400. That means that your bottle would only last you for 15 days because it only has 60 gummies in there. And you need to do it for 90 days if you want to replicate what was done in the clinical trial. At $39.95 for a bottle of 60 or $266 a day, that complete course of treatment is going to cost you $240 just for this Morasil gummy that could, maybe, sort of, might, possibly, weather permitting, have a barely detectable effect. Better hope it really works. However, okay, so the last two products that we need to cover in order to round out their bestsellers list just might snatch the crown for It Works product exhibiting the highest level of brain melting stupidity away from the rap thing, which we learned truly is, in fact, crazy. The first product is their Skinny Brew, which is an instant coffee powder and is also now Exhibit 94C in my repository of evidence supporting the hypothesis that mankind is inherently evil. So the product page for this wretched abomination in a pouch states that it contains, I shit you not, 5 plant-based sources of caffeine that combine for a powerful brew with tons of perks in what has to be the most reprehensible slap in the face to all that is coffee, because that was the beverage equivalent of these people who will drive 5 miles to go run on a treadmill. I mean, what a compelling selling point. I don't want to support It Works, but gosh, if only there were a plant-based source of caffeine in other coffees, you guys. The total caffeine content is 225 milligrams, which it describes as being 2 cups of coffee. What a game changer. Now, instead of suffering through our fresh brewed, normal, delicious coffee, we can just have 1 cup of this instant coffee-inspired morning ruiner. Thank God. It also has the sheer audacity to say, this instant French roast coffee helps burn fat and fire up your brain function, which is an utterly preposterous claim, because if this synthetic coffee style beverage made your brain start functioning, you would never get any repeat customers. So among the 5 mysteriously necessary sources of caffeine is a green tea extract with boosted levels of EGCG, which is a compound that it cites as an antioxidant, which is bullshit. The term antioxidant, like most words that marketing departments get their cursed hands on, has been rendered so utterly meaningless that you should just ignore anything with the word antioxidant in it. It's been shown to possibly reduce your LDL, bad cholesterol levels, but it's also been shown to be hepatotoxic, which is toxic to the liver, with daily consumption of doses over 800 milligrams. Green tea capsule supplements, which are also a waste of money, usually contain about 300 to 400 milligrams of EGCG. This Skinny Brew contains, oh, that's right, they don't say, so I guess we're just gonna shake them dice and roll them. Well, if you're like me, what you're thinking after hearing all of this is that all the questionable additives and synthetic compounds added to this stuff? Because I really am looking for a drink with more chemicals backed by dubious claims and inadequate testing. Well, fear not, okay? This shit also contains no fewer than 6 nootropics, which generally refer to a compound that is marketed as a cognitive enhancer, but is unapproved by the FDA and has little to no scientific backing and likely no evidence of long-term safety. Back in my day, we just used amphetamine for that, but you do you, I guess. Although I would suspect that it may not be as effective as they claim, because if they work, why are you so oblivious to the incredible irony of uncritically dumping designer drug style untested nootropics down your gullet, but you're so wary of the extensively studied COVID-19 vaccine? Okay? None of these 6 compounds that were unscrupulously bundled into the It Works Skinny Brew have any conclusive evidence of their efficacy. Oh, and the price? $49 for 15 servings. That is $3.26 per serving at the distributor discount price for instant fucking coffee. Finally, I need to tell you about their keto coffee because, you know, it might be the only thing that can match the Skinny Brew for sheer stupidity. It's the same type of instant, so good I threw up in my mouth, coffee influenced beverage. But this one, and I quote, you simply mix one single serve packet into 8 ounces of hot or cold water, then enjoy its buttery taste. What? I mean, gosh, if only there were something that could be added to normal coffee that had fats in it. Instead, all I have is this stupid cream. Arrgh. The value proposition, if you could call it that, of this somehow buttery instant coffee simulator is that the caffeine can boost ketone production for someone trying to maintain a ketogenic diet, which, while that seems to be true, I think there might actually be some products that exist other than It Works instant coffee that contain caffeine and fats. I think maybe we should exhaust all of our options before we decide that it's time to just throw butter in a lukewarm cup of instant coffee and call it a day. Especially since this one doesn't even contain 225 milligrams like the Skinny Brew does. It only has 125. Why? That's so stingy. Are they afraid they're gonna run out? What gives? Ugh, Jesus. Okay, so the It Works Keto Coffee contains 100 calories, 9 grams of total fat, of which 8 grams are saturated fat, 3 grams of carbohydrate, no protein, okay? Heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of it, contains 100 calories, 10 grams of fat, 7 grams of saturated fat, no protein, no carbohydrate, okay? So that sounds even better for keto to me, and I guarantee that fresh brewed coffee with a couple tablespoons of heavy cream is going to be a lot more delicious than this It Works abomination, okay? And no, the It Works coffee is not vegan either, so if you're between the two, you might as well go with the heavy cream. Oh, and you can get heavy cream for $4 for a pint. That means that each coffee you make with a generous 2 tablespoons is only 12 cents plus whatever you pay for your coffee. That is much better. That is a much better deal than the $3.26 per serving the It Works Keto Coffee will cost you if you get the full distributor discount. Okay, $3.26 for 125 milligrams of caffeine. What? It retails for $5.46 per serving if you don't get that discount though. So instead of doing that, you could just go to Starbucks every single day. So let's move on. Let's move on from the products because I don't know how much more of that I would be able to handle. Okay, I think I've stated my pizza. So let's look at some of these complaints and allegations against It Works. Let's look at why people are such big haters of It Works. Well, the Better Business Bureau, Better Hater Bureau is more like it. The Better Business Bureau profile for It Works currently shows 686 complaints filed, in addition to a statement from the Better Business Bureau noting, Better Business Bureau has received a pattern of complaints from consumers alleging that after trying to cancel with the business, they continue to receive additional products. Customers also state that they have found additional charges being taken that the business has not informed them would be occurring. Complaints also allege that the business continues to bill after cancellation and consumers are not informed that there is a $50 cancellation fee. The Better Business Bureau has been in contact with It Works a number of times, the most recent being in November 2017. In December of 2017, the business stated the underlying cause of the majority of our complaints is the improper enrollment of loyal customers by independent distributors. It Works loyal customers must either complete the company's online enrollment process or fill out a loyal customer order form. In both instances, loyal customers are required to read and agree to the loyal customer terms and conditions before they are able to place an order. The business indicated that the majority of complaints are received from loyal customers directly enrolled by a distributor who did not adequately disclose or explain the auto shipment commitment or membership fee associated with becoming an It Works loyal customer. Which sounds a lot like slamming, doesn't it? Man, I'm sure it's just an ethical slip, okay? It Works indicated that it has implemented the following to improve customer service and satisfaction and reduce complaints. Training materials for independent distributors providing specific instructions on the proper enrollment of loyal customers. Training materials including videos, quick reference guides, and scripts. Accountability of distributors for improper loyal customer enrollments. Such loyal customer disputes are investigated, and if the enrolling distributor is not able to produce written documentation that the loyal customer agreement was fully explained and the loyal customer understood, the distributor is responsible for paying the loyal customer's $50 membership fee. Well, that sounds real great, but given that there have been 11 complaints filed with the Better Business Bureau in June of 21 alone regarding that exact issue, looks like the solution they implemented in 2017 might not have been quite as effective as one might have hoped. I don't know what could possibly possess someone to want to do business with a company that clearly doesn't give a shit about this type of thing going on. And they definitely are aware of the problem. They just don't care. If they cared, they would have fixed this. You have to take it as a reflection of the ethics of the company as a whole. Any company that had decent ethics and morals would not allow practices that led to unauthorized billing and auto shipments to continue. Okay, the fact that this has been going on for so long speaks of volumes. So let's wrap this up with the income disclosure statement, shall we? Listen, if there's one thing I've learned from Kimberlea, it is that integrity is always for sale. Okay, so let's go see if we can find ourselves a buyer. Okay, so first thing that I hate about this income disclosure statement that they provide is that it only shows monthly amounts, where usually that's given as an annual amount. So I've gone ahead and calculated that. I've also gone ahead and calculated what those numbers would be after we subtract out the $80 a month minimum in auto ship you have to be active in It Works. You could also do $200 a month in purchases, but let's give them the entire benefit of the doubt here, and I will do the lowest costs that it could possibly be. I've also calculated what each annual income amount would be as a full-time hourly wage. The other thing that bugs me is that they are providing these numbers as the mean when the median is a much more informative measure, so it makes sense why they went with the mean. So the first rank that we have is the distributor rank, and 85.94% of the company is in this rank. And before expenses, they earn $576 as a mean for a year, which is really more money than you know what to do with. That's 28 cents an hour. So like, that's really generous and really competitive, you know? Unfortunately, after the absolute minimum PV spend that you have, they actually lose an average of $384 a year, or or I mean, you only lose 18 cents an hour, but I mean, how many jobs are out there where you lose only 18 cents an hour? I mean, this is really like, I mean, it's really enticing. So, especially since we could rank up, okay? Because I'm dedicated and I do the work and I'm doing the personal development. So I'm clearly going to rank up to executive, which is 3.31% of the company, and taking home an average of $2,880 before expenses, which is $1.38 an hour. After expenses, though, well, what's amazing here is that the average is not a loss here. So unlike the 86% that was below this rank and was averaging a loss, this rank is not averaging a loss. So they're making, after expenses, $1,920 or 92 cents an hour. Yeah. And so with that, we've covered 89.25% of the company as a cumulative total. Okay. So that's how many are below this rank. So clearly we're better than 89.25% of the company, which means that we're going to advance to Ruby. Yeah, that's right. And the Ruby is 6.35% of the company, and before expenses can earn you $4,188 or $2.01 an hour. Amazing. And after expenses, that's $3,228 or $1.55 an hour, which is incredible. So generous. What I will say is you can't find a job that pays that these days. You can't find that anywhere. So remember, when we rank up to the next rank, which is Emerald, that means that we've passed 95.6% of the company is below Emerald. And so welcome to the Emerald City, which is 1.59% of the company. And before expenses, you could get $8,004 a year, which is $3.85 an hour. So all you servers who somehow make no tips ever, suck it, because we're making more than you now, okay? Unless you get tips. So I hope you're rude. But after expenses, that is $7,044 a year, which is still incredible. It's amazing. It's $3.39 an hour. But I still think that I feel like we haven't fulfilled our full potential yet, and that is because you're not doing the personal development. But now, as long as you start doing it now, I'm sure that we will do better than 97.19% of the company and rank up to Diamond, which is 1.49% of the company. And you ready? Get ready for a big windfall here, because they earn before expenses $24,108 a year, which is $11.59 an hour. So in some places, that's above minimum wage. So suck it, okay? Suck it, 97% of the company that was averaging below minimum wage, okay? Because in some places, this is above it. Ha! We win. And then after expenses, that is $23,148 a year, or $11.13 an hour. I really think that the reason everyone is in this rank is because they just show up and they just, they don't do anything. That's that. If I know anything about 96.68% of people, it's that they don't do anything. So So clearly we do things like clearly we're exceptional. Nothing bad ever comes of people that assume that they're exceptional. You know, everything good happens to them. So we're going to rank up to double diamond, which is a weird name for a rank, but okay. Which is 0.83% of the company. And they're starting to get into, you know, so they're making $53,820, which, you know, is low end of like a professional position at most offices, but okay, which is $25.88 an hour before expenses though. It's $52,000 or $25.41 an hour after the absolute minimum in expenses. And so all of the ranks that I've so far covered are 99.51% of the company we've already covered. And that's all we've gotten up to. So when they act like they're completely ballin', no, you're not, because 99.51% of you are making like at best kind of average like office salaried professional position money. Yikes. But, you know, okay, luckily, you know, we're not 99.51% of people, you know, like we're different. We're different, okay? I'm different. So we're going to rank up to triple diamond, okay, which is 0.29% of the company. And they're earning six figures, okay? They're making $102,828 a year before expenses, which is $49.44 an hour. Even after expenses, it's still over six figures, $101,868 or $48.98 an hour. 99.80% is below this rank. I think it is so gross how the bottom ranks are losing per hour. While these people are making $50 an hour, but you know, only, you know, who might have judged, but okay. And then if you could just beat all the odds, which let's face it, you've already beaten by getting this far, you could make it to presidential diamond, just 0.15% of the company. After expenses, we're just gonna skip to it. After expenses, they're making $161,124 or $77.46 an hour, and that covers 99.95%. So the final rank that we have is 0.05% of the company, and as if expenses are relevant here, we're gonna skip it. After expenses, they make $292,632 a year, which is $140.69 an hour. And that's everybody. So compare that to the lower ranks, and remember that was the lowest rank was 86% of the people. Yeesh. And this is 0.05%. It's a yikes from me. So my final conclusion on It Works is it works.
1% evil, 99% hot gas.
I've been Mac. Peace out. Bye!